right? Then the third year I said, look, I'm not spending any money on this house this year. Okay, I want to enjoy myself and all of that. So we take typically 10 to 15 years to build. Next slide, please. And so this is what you find in the typical structure of the Nigerian housing finance market. Okay, on the right, we're trying to bring out the report of the income versus the mortgage pyramid. Now, at the bottom of the pyramid, you have about 30%. You hear about the 17 million housing units that's needed in Nigeria. 30% of that need. If a house were $100, they could not afford it. Okay, so which means that those category of people will be requiring some form of social housing. Now, if you look at the poverty line against the National Housing Fund, that's a report done by the Center for Affordable Housing in South Africa. For a $5 million loan, okay, over a 30-year period at 6%, the minimum repayment on a monthly basis will be between 30,000 and 40,000 naira. Now, if you follow the 33 1/3 rule, it means that for someone to be able to pay 40,000 naira as a mortgage repayment, he needs to earn about 120,000 naira. Right? Does anybody know what the minimum wage is in the country? Sorry? 18,000 naira. Right? Even if you multiply that 4 times in the private sector, you'll be averaging about 70 or 80,000 naira. So fundamentally, there's a challenge with the mortgage market and the housing finance market. Next slide, please. And this is where e-government will help. Now, what I'm trying to do in this picture is to show the different processes or challenges or whatever you call them that is involved in a typical housing development that transcends to the mortgage market. And this is where e-government becomes very critical. How do I get information on approvals? How do I get information on planning? How do I get information on licensing? How do I get information on the land use? Okay? So this is where you can see this picture is an investor's dilemma of how can I solve this problem in order to grow or to have a vibrant mortgage market. I'll come to this slide. Let's go on. Now, I think we all know what's e-government. I think I'm running out of time, so I don't know. I think we're all experts in the room. We know what e-government is. It's only a mortgage man like me that doesn't know e-government. Go on. Now, go to the next slide, please. Now, in terms of the benefits for the different NDAs, right, in pictorial form. Now, looking at the mortgage market and looking at the myriad of challenges or the processes that I showed in the picture, when it had issues of land use, issues of approvals, issues of licensing, right? Now, this is what happens in developed world. Now, I took this benefit from the Department of Housing and Urban Development in the United States, where a lot of their transactions or a lot of their activities on mortgage is done through the e-government platform. And so it's very easy, right? That platform gives users what they want. So, for example, if I want to know in a particular area, should I be doing a 3-bedroom apartment, or should I be doing a 4-bedroom apartment, or should I be doing a 1-bedroom apartment? Okay? You can get that information on that platform. It increases your loyalty and revenue. So which means what also happens is leakages automatically stops. So I can be in front of my system and then pay for all the processes and watch my approval move from one desk to the other, right? You get personally acquainted, you get personally acquainted with your customers. Okay, so customers can also begin to make complaints in their areas where there are customer service failures. And then it makes you different from the competitors. Now, if you look at, for example, the typical mortgage finance process, you have to carry out searches for the property. Okay? Is it the right property? Is it the right owner? Right? Does it have the requisite approval for that development? Was a commercial property developed in an area that has been zoned for residential purposes? So these are the kind of benefits that you need to get in having a platform for mortgages on the e-government. I don't know how many minutes I have left, sir. Go ahead. Okay, I think basically for the definition of mortgage, it can be simply defined as a loan to finance the purchase of real estate. I think we all know what that is. Okay, move to the next slide, please. Sustainable housing delivery. Production of housing to be maintained at a certain rate or level. This rate must be able to improve the current housing situation in Nigeria. Remember, my key words were e-government, and then I also mentioned sustainability, because we also took that from the topic for today. Now, to be able to keep mortgage or housing at a level that you can begin to improve housing in Nigeria becomes a very tall task. Okay, and this is where I think that e-government can really, really help in the country. Next slide, please. Now, for a layman like me, in terms of ICT and in terms of e-government, I think that there have been several, and I know that over the course of the next 2 days, there will be a lot of conversations around e-government. But looking at the mortgage market and looking at other economies and other climes, what basically has happened is the establishment, and you guys will have to tell me this, is the establishment of an e-government act with specific housing provisions. I don't know whether we already have that in the country. Do we already have that? Do we already have that? Okay. I needed to know, just so that I'm not already saying what we're already doing. So you need to have a specific, provisions, okay, under the e-Government Act. And what this will enable us to achieve is enhanced delivery of information and services, public access to electronic information, e-government fund, accessibility, government-public collaboration, archive, records and administration, research and development, and a mortgage electronic system. For example, if I wanted to sell a property, okay, if I own the property and I wanted to sell the property, from your desk in your office, you can actually pay a fee and then carry out a search to check if I'm really the owner of that property. So that's the kind of thing, that kind of platform will give to you. So in a nutshell, for the mortgage market typically, I think what needs to happen is if we can have this e-government act with specific housing provisions that then helps in developing the market. For example, I know that with Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, you can check your balances. NMRC is also starting their first tranche of refinancing. So we're beginning to have a lot of institutional intervention in the mortgage market. And these are very good developments for the market. With e-government, one must be able to, at the confines of his office, be able to do certain transactions. Like I said, information and data is very key. Now, with data, governments can plan more. Okay, today, I don't know what is the appropriation from the Federal Ministry of Land, Housing and Urban Development, but every time you see the budget, you say, are these guys supposed to be providing housing for the country? Okay, the reason is, I don't think you want to blame anybody, because we need enough data and enough information to be able to prosecute the case why appropriations for such a ministry should be as it is in other regions. I think I want to end at this point, and I'll be happy to take your questions. Thank you very much.
I said Mr. Roland has spoke on three major areas. One of them is the talk of supply and demand. But the main theme of this discussion is entrenching e-government for a vibrant mortgage market for sustainable housing delivery in Nigeria. Sorry for changing your listing. You see, when he talked about demand and supply, he was referring to land titling, because the mortgage process also has to do with issue of demand and supply. When you talk of construction, you have to start talking of the land, the titling. That was where he referred to this mortgage electronic system. It's all over the world. But here in Nigeria, you bring up a title, for you to conduct search, you find out that somebody has already mortgaged that property. So it's a problem. So it's good if we begin to do what we call the GIS system to address issues of land, whereby you can now identify a land, identify whether the title is in place, and you get it through the mortgage electronic system. By the time you can sit down in the office in Lagos or in Abuja and try to confirm the validity of a title in Enugu, Adama, or elsewhere in Nigeria. And mortgage system that we are supposed to run through the eGovernment has started already with us, because we've started with what we call the NHF e-collection platform, whereby all our contributors, I saw a lot of representation from eTransfer, they are the ones running that system for us. Before we started, we were collecting about 650 million naira in a month. And as I speak to you, after just 12 months now, we are collecting almost getting to 3 billion naira now. So when we continue like that, but e-mortgage does not only refer to collection. The mortgage beneficiary should also be able to access mortgage through the electronic system. You should be able to sit down in Lagos, process your mortgage from Lagos without coming to Abuja. But what we do now, you see people coming with a heap of files. So it's a very interesting topic, but it's so vast that we need to do a lot of job. And I'm happy that FSS 2020 is taking the lead, and I know we'll get to that place. Should we take questions, or we can allow the second presenter to present first? Let him, okay. So, my call on Mr. Tabansi. Mr. Tabansi is a retired director with the Federal Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development. So can you take your paper, please? And go to the podium. Discussion. Okay.
Discussants have 5 minutes.
Only 5 minutes.
They don't need to make a presentation just to highlight issues that were not being covered or emphasize the ones that need some level of emphasis. We're running behind time, but we need to capture every contribution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. As you have known, my name is GTN Tabansi. The issue of mortgage, as we have been talked to by the lead presenter, and you will agree with me, is an issue that is very important to virtually every person, because it concerns a source that leads to ownership of property. Mortgage is all about owning a property and financing a property. And then when we consider the importance of e-government that has been explained and its benefits, it leaves nobody in doubt that it is necessary that we introduce e-government in the mortgage market. And as has been explained, it has been started by the lead mortgage bank in Nigeria, the Federal Mortgage Bank. But the critical question is that the mortgage we are talking about, how is it created? We don't have time to begin to explain that, but the bottom line is that for every mortgage to be created, there has to be a house, and a house built on a land that is titled. So we have some bottlenecks in issues of land titling, and all those issues need equally to be considered. And like the chairman has said, those areas require equally a government platform. The issue of title preparation. Because if a title to land is not given, it is difficult to create mortgage. But government has in recent time been very serious about that. And then issues of computerization of land process, which enables it to go into the platform of eGovernment has been given a serious attention, but we have not gotten there. In the Federal Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, we have long talked over decades that we needed to create a national land depository. Land depository is a system where all governments, including the states and all this, would have computerized their land process and then be able to feed into a network that will enable you make a search like we are talking. It is such system that can enable this e-government to be created for mortgage market, because mortgage means that you must make a search on title. So if it's not done electronically, you will not be able to achieve e-government in mortgage market. Another thing is that government over a time had not been able to produce a land policy. And the government had made some effort, the ministry will now have a draft land policy, and this draft land policy will now be exposed, and when it's exposed, it will be able to give basis. Why we're talking this is that for you to bring mortgage into e-government platform, you must have made every person come to the same level, so that when you have a title, you are sure it's a title, mortgage is created, other issues that you enable.
I need to intervene because the time is almost up.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Before I call on the next discussion, I would prefer to allow the Reverend to talk last. Can I call on Mr. Chris Ada, who is a consultant, to give us his own view?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Chris Ada, a consulting estate surveyor and valuer who happen to have worked in a mortgage institution as an underwriter. It's not my intention to bore us with what has already been said. I'll rather make my intervention in the area of identifying how the mortgage market can be made vibrant. Now, we know that for most of us, the biggest single investment we make in our lives is investing in homes, because home ownership is so critical to us humans. As a matter of fact, in the United States of America, where the American dream is touted, the American dream is anchored in home ownership. But back home in our country here in Nigeria, the population of estimated at around 170 million people, the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, which is the oldest mortgage institution, has a paltry mortgage portfolio of about 47,000 customers. Now, how can we make the mortgage market, vibrant? Vibrancy presupposes that many people should be active in the market. And many people cannot be active in the market where their household incomes is pitiable. As many of us will recall, during the monetization of federal government housing units nationwide, the greatest challenge for most people was how to scrape up that 10% down payment. And the reason was obvious. Household incomes were not really what would have allowed the prospective owners easily go forward and make the down payments. So, to my mind, one of the first places we should consider in upscaling inclusivity in the mortgage market will be economic empowerment that will make it possible for more people to be enabled to participate. Another area would be to the need for demystifying the mortgage process. Here in Nigeria, what we have are generally portfolio lenders. Every institution originates a mortgage, services it. And I do not think that is the way we can include inclusivity in the market. Ideally, we should be thinking about setting up a secondary mortgage market where primary mortgage lenders originate loans, sell them to a secondary lender who gives them immediate cash flow to enable them to create more mortgages. Meanwhile, this secondary lender repackages these mortgages and sells them on the capital market as bonds. And that way, the financing opportunities will be enhanced. So, and again, that we need to streamline the underwriting process of the mortgage. A situation now where every portfolio lender has its own ground rules.
Thank you, Mr. Kulisada.
Thank you.
From streamlining the mortgage process from where I said we should allow Kulisada to speak before the Reverend, I knew where I was going to, because I agree with him. If America had an American dream, we should also be able to have a Nigerian dream, and this is what we are trying to do. He talked of income. I sincerely agree with him, because anywhere I find myself, I always make reference of this. 18,000 minimum wage is less than 100,000 by today's rate. And how much of it will you put to repay your mortgage? It's not enough. It's not enough. So, thank you, Mr. George. I will now call on the representative of Mrs. Okule to give us his own idea.
Thank you, when you come back, you will make the job easy. And in this constitution, I think that there are some statements of fact that we hear every day. 17 million housing deficit. Mortgage can contribute up to 60% in the developed economy. The truth of the matter is that our mortgage system is not viable. So without repeating what other people have said, I just want to examine why it is so. Why is it that when you look into Abuja, you walk in the city of Abuja, especially in the night or the afternoon like this, and you look at so many streets unoccupied, then you begin to question yourself, are there really housing deficits? Thousands of houses unoccupied. Why are they occupied? Like the speaker was saying when you are talking about the system of slums, people are cramping. In fact, I used to do that by this time around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the night, it's like the whole morning, the majority of people in Abuja will just buy their book and run to the bush. The housing deficit. Why is it that we also know that a vibrant mortgage will help us to solve this problem? Why is our mortgage system not vibrant? One of the reasons, how can eGovernment help? And that's the area I want. In some places, you just require that if you see that we're able to build it, you build them where they are not needed. Like I was asking my colleague there, all the houses built by FHC are being occupied. Some of them have been built years ago, nobody to build them. Is that the cost is too high, or they are built where they are not necessary? And how can eGovernment help us in and the cost of consumption? I've also taken a lot of people that we want to take these houses on mortgage. When you build too high and the average man cannot, the man that you are supposed to build, the estate developer, has to take a lot of money to build, he is HSN, will be the water corporation, will provide the rules. If infrastructure can be provided, if we have rental subsidy, then we can have housing subsidy. And so that the cost of the houses will be minimal and can be variable. And another area that you can see that the income of the people who are going to take up the houses. A few months ago, we are prepared.
You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes. And we have a lot of countries. And they gave us forms to fill. Directors. For mortgage, they even connected us with primary mortgage institution. By the time they assess us, they found that only 1 out of maybe 20 people are qualified. Because we don't have the time. You will retire 4 or 5 years to come. Who will give you mortgage? Those that are coming, that are very young, their income cannot sustain it. So you have to remain vacant. So if you can plan very well and try to do something about the income, then we will move forward on our platform. What can we do? What are we doing as the government? The title, like I'm said, we immediately are trying to form what we call mortgage asset registry. But now, not just the title. You have to carry a lot of files to cash. But these people are trying to computerize our database. And apart from that, now separate the mortgage aspect from it. So that anywhere you are, like the MD, our chairman said, you can take research. In the case where you can take a loan here, go to another bank and take another loan, use another, the same product that.
Thank you, Reverend. I've been informed that your time is up. Questions from the audience, and I just want to give you a summary. An area which Roland has discussed, but none of the discussants was able to pick. He was talking of pyramids of housing needs. Most of those people that need houses, the composition of the 17 million we are talking about forms like 30%. We have 20, and these 30% are those that earn even less than 18,000 we are talking about. Because we also have people that don't even have income. That has to be in place. With that, we can take 2 or 3 questions from the audience or comments. I can start from this side.
My name is Piotr, and I have a curiosity, and I ask myself, why is it that I live in Lagos, I used to live in Lagos, and we go to the office, all of us rush to the other, and then we rush back in the evening, and if you want to make it home by 8, you have to leave the office before 5. Is there a fundamental problem in our government policies that cites all government institutions or commercial institutions in one place and concentrate everything there, and then you make properties in another place so unaffordable that they become unoccupied like your business, and then you leave the other places empty, and then people are building houses there because that is what's affordable, and then you keep shorting uselessly daily. Then the other question is, how did we come about this 5 million naira limit, or is it 10 million naira now, of loan that the Federal Mortgage Bank can give you at 6% or 5%, when we know that there's no house that we can build for 5 million naira?
Thank you very much. And you made an example of Lagos, whereby those of us living in the Shanti area, those living in here. So it's the financing model, the way these cities are being built. If you go to Dubai, like he said, you will see that the cities are well planned. But if you go to Singapore, the city is well planned, and you don't have this kind of confusion. And planning is not only about houses. You also plan the way you transport your own citizens, but it's not obtained here. So these are some of the things we should try to start looking at through the eGovernment platform. They are not yet handed over. The mortgage, the Nigerian mortgage market is growing. The opportunities are great. And from what we have seen, the market requires more than
Oliver, Nabanjo, Roland, and Chris on the other side, and Taran. But it's okay to have fun, actually. As we make quick progress. Now, again, let's practice democracy. Would you want an early dinner? Or you like lunch? Okay, those who want to make lunch, say aye. Thank you, the ayes have it then. So we'll do late lunch. That means we'll just have one session to go, and it will take just about 30 minutes, and we'll have late lunch. Dinner will be served tomorrow. You didn't want dinner tonight? Okay, so tomorrow. Look, tomorrow actually has very, very exciting sessions. You won't want to miss those sessions. Check the program. Exciting sessions. And we'll start as early as 9. A key sponsor, I can't reveal his name now, because you're going to actually, you have an avalanche of requests, but it's promised, what's all those kind of things, phablets, carry. For the first 100 people in here at 9 a.m. Is that okay? First 100 people in the hall at 9 a.m. will get phablets from a key sponsor. Sponsor, he will do the presentation himself. So see you at 9. But before then, let us take the last session for today, which is on pension. The chair for this session is a distinguished person in the industry, retired director of strategy at the CBN, and I happen to know that he's also an e-payment expert. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome onto the podium Mr. Walter Array.
Both public and private. And then on reporting, how do they report on the activities they do? That's the pension fund administrators and the custodians. I need to mention that there are 3 basic institutions within the administration and regulation of pension in Nigeria today. First and foremost is the National Pension Commission, that is saddled with the responsibility of regulating and supervising all pension matters in the country. Secondly, the pension fund administrators, who actually we all know, all of us here, we open retirement savings accounts with at least one of the 21 existing PFAs. Now, the pension fund custodians are the third important institution in the administration of pension. The link between all of this is that National Pension Commission regulates, pension fund administrators administer, they take all investment decisions, and they then pass these investment decisions to the pension fund custodians, who are holding every kobo contributed and every kobo earned by the pension fund administrators. So we try to do it in a different way with banking. In banking, you go and open an account, the bank serves as the custodian and administrator of your deposit. While in this situation, it is another institution that takes care of the custody, while another institution takes care of taking all the investment decisions. So all this networking between these 3 important institutions that are involved with administration of pension, we understood from the very beginning that we needed an effective technology to handle them properly and efficiently. And that's why we find out that the PFS will take the investment decisions, they will pass this investment decisions to the PFCs remotely, and then the PFCs will then execute these investment decisions that are taken. And on a daily basis, the PFAs now submit all the investment decisions they have taken to National Pension Commission, also via ICT systems. So in essence, that is really one of the important things that we felt we have done, because we will be able then to track all the investment decisions taken by PFAs and the investment decisions that have been executed by the PFCs. This helps us to actually then, not this slide, please. This one. I think the one before it. Go back, please. this then helps us to effectively and efficiently regulate the pension industry. There are some other issues that technology has been helping the pension industry to achieve. The issue of payment of benefits. People, when they are going to retire, normally, when they retire rather, they go to their PFAs, and the PFA will sit with them. They agree on the mode of withdrawal of their pension benefits. And those agreements will be passed to PENCOM also electronically. We'll review them, pass our approval or rejection back to the PFA, also remotely. And then the PFAs will then direct the PFCs to be paying the pension through the designated bank accounts of the retirees. So you can see all this also link is done by the help of technology. Indeed, I think one of the most important things that technology has also helped us to achieve is the issue of compliance. When institutions come to comply, they have to be issued an employer code. And this employer code will be passed to the PFAs. And it is this employer code that the PFAs will be able to use in registering open retirement savings accounts for employees of this particular institution. So we have been able to keep track of these institutions that we have issued this codes to. Unfortunately, we would have been able to say right from the beginning, we create or generate rather all employer costs to all employers of labor in the country. But one of the daunting challenges in the country is the absence of a comprehensive database of employers of labor. There is no single institution that you can go to in this country to obtain this information. It's not available, even with the tax collectors. They don't have it. So it's very difficult. So what we have been able to do is to then appoint recovery agents who will go to even those institutions that already had this employer codes to ensure that they are making the right remittances of pension contributions of their employees into their retirement savings accounts. And when we are able to get this information, we don't update our database. But federal government has helped us a lot in the issue of compliance, which also actually we are being able to implement with this technology. Anybody today who is having any business to do with any federal government agency must have what we call the pension compliance certificate. Now this has helped us a lot in getting private sector to enroll onto the pension scheme. Now, the way they do it is that when you are going to bid for a contract, you have to show this. And if you don't have it, you have to come to PENCOM to have it. And when you come, we already have you on the database. It's not only having you on the database, you are also linked with Group of Public Procurement. They also have this information. And all this is being passed actually by the aid of technology. When we started, the issue of IT was not as really developed as it is today. 10 years ago, 11 years ago, when the pension reform was introduced and then the implementation of the reforms started in September 2004, really issues of IT are not as advanced as they are today. That's why the country voter registration system that we started using had a lot of flaws, and actually it gave rooms for PFAs to register a person more than just once. So it's a big daunting challenge that we're trying to address at the moment by saying, well, let us visit all that we have done, come up with a more tacit and robust registration system, and then try to see when we implement it whether we could be able to clean up all the mess that we had with the issues of multiple registrations. This system is not just going to be for registration, but it's also going to have a contribution collection application, a model attached to it. It's also going to have a transfer window. A lot of people are asking, when are we going to open the transfer window? Maybe it's high time for people to start transferring between PFAs. Well, this is the big challenge. Unless we have a clean database to serve as a basis for us to approve these transfers, then if we are going to approve transfer, are we going to transfer, say, Mr. Farouk Aminu, who registered with, say, PFAA, or transferring Mr. Farouk Aminu, who registered with PFAB? Which of the accounts are we going to transfer? So unless we are able to consolidate this and clean up the database, we won't be able to open the transfer window. Indeed, what technology has helped us to do, as I mentioned, issue of getting applications for approval for access to the retirement savings account. But on the new system, we're trying to have another more robust model that will assist us to do this even better. When we started approving the applications for access to retirement savings accounts, we are taking about 4 weeks to finish processing an application. Now, with the help of technology, that has reduced to a maximum of 5 days, 5 working days. We are trying to see whether we can still beat that further. And hopefully, with the technology that we are trying to put in place, we will be able to achieve that. The reports that the PFAs submit on a daily basis, they serve as actually each sort of figures for us in National Pension Commission that allow us to conduct off-site surveillance of the pension fund operators. So we'll be able to check how well they are doing, and then we'll form an opinion, come up with a report that then we take when we go for on-site supervision of when we go for on-site examination of the pension operators. Now, we have another system that helps us carry out the running of the normal business of the Commission. We use Oracle e-Business Suite on our payroll, on our human capital issues, on other administrative issues. We also run a contact center, which currently is outsourced. We are linked with them. We have a CRM model that when complaints come, normally in various ways, either through a telephone call, or it comes through a surface mail, or somebody just walked in, or somebody sent an email, and so on. We'll be able to capture all those within the CRM and be able to divert them to the relevant departments to attend to them. But the Commission is also trying to see that we do something that is more robust, more internal, that will domesticate the contact center. I think there is too much to do with IT, especially as National Pension Commission strategized to expand coverage of the contributory pension scheme, to take it to the self-employed and the informal sector. People have been, saying, I attended, some discussion somewhere, and then someone said, how can you cover an individual employee, somebody who's working for himself or for herself? It's possible because under this system, the person only needs to go and open a retirement savings account with any PFA of his or her choice. The issue then is, how can technology help us to do this better? From issue of registering these individuals, from issues of collecting their contributions, giving them account statements, sending complaints to either the PFA or PENCOM or whoever is involved within the pension industry to attend to that complaint, then getting back to these individuals also with solutions to these complaints, even when they come to access their monies. We know of the existence of these e-payment systems. Can this be leveraged to assist us in really taking this pension to the informal sector and the self-employed? And can it be able to help us do it better and efficient? I think these are questions that I hope the people on the discussion panel will be able to address. Thank you very much.
I fully agree with more questions than answers. But clearly, we have a world out there to do a lot with technology, with innovation for areas like the pension. And we don't really have to reinvent the wheel in terms of how to go. I'm sure day to day we will address all those issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very aware that our time is far spent. So what I'll just try and do is highlight some of the salient points that we normally encounter every day and how we try and leverage technology to improve these challenges that we face daily. One thing that we're aware of is that, as Dr. Farouk has also mentioned already, there has to be a high level of collaboration between the key players in the industry, between PENCOM, the PFAs and the PFCs, because in one way or the other, we need approval from PENCOM, for instance, and we need the PFCs to carry out payments to our clients on time, even if we have given them the instructions, for instance, and they do not carry out those instructions on time. It just leads to an aggrieved client that feels that we're being funny with his money and we come and we get all sorts of client complaints and things like that. So there has to be a high level of collaboration between everybody. To some extent, we have done that level of collaboration. We have something called EPCOS in the Pension Fund Administrator Operations of Nigeria, PENOP. We've come up with EPCOS in collaboration with NIBS. Basically, it's a platform whereby an employer can log into a portal, and basically, if he has a schedule of employees, for instance, that need to get paid, he can log in and upload all the details of those employees, make the corresponding payments to the pension fund custodian, and even the pension fund administrator can now log into that after the payment has been made at the relevant bank or custodian, and he can see that schedule. So to some extent, it saves the time and energy of walking around carrying schedules or sending emails of those kind of things. So that is something that we're working on. It still needs improvement in the sense that we have quite a few employers that have not exactly grabbed onto that and started using it yet, but with time we expect that there will be an increase in that. One very key thing that we witness every day, the pension fund industry has grown. Before the Act of 2004, there was the pension was in a deficit, and now we have, I think, about 4.5 trillion or thereabouts in pension assets that we have now. And a lot of that has to do with process automation, and I think what I can say in this regard is that it's almost like things have changed from 10 years ago to what it is now. That's why we have an Act of 2014 which was signed recently, and all that has to do, or it speaks to rather, the need to constantly improve your processes, to look at things that were not working and you improve it. And to that extent, you need technology to automate things like, let's say for instance, a client comes in and he wants to apply for his pension benefits. He should not always have to come back to you to get data on what the status of his pension application is. He can, for instance, send a text to a short code, which could give him a response that, okay, your application has been sent to PENCOM and we expect that it will be reviewed, and within a certain amount of time, you will get that back. You hear back from PENCOM and your remittances will be made. So process automation is very important. The need for innovation is also very important. There's something that we did at my company, which is that clients that have accounts with us can actually walk up to any Stanbic IBTC ATM to check their account balances. They can see when they were last paid and things like that. For the working class, it helps to monitor so that you know that your money is being remitted when it should be, for instance, and you can actually take it up with your employer if there is a need to do that. One other very important thing, we all talk about technology and the need to drive technology, but at the same time, we also need to ensure that things like the data we put on these servers that help this technology, there has to be business continuity, there has to be redundancy, for instance. Otherwise, it would be a catastrophe. I don't want to sound like an alarmist. If, for instance, our data servers crash and there is no backup for that anywhere. So things like business continuity are key in all this. IT security and informal sector and other things, I've been notified that my time is up, but these are basically things that we should look at in terms of improving technology and driving the pension business forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. I'm going to go straight to
Thank you very much. I will just try to add one or two things to what my colleagues have already said. The process of administering pension, right from the beginning till the last stage, has actually been fully automated, and I'll just run through it. Hardly do you see people going to a PFA to say they want to go and register. Almost all PFAs have a mobile registration now. We come to your offices right there, we register you with the modem. We can get a PIN from PENCOM, give you your PIN on the spot, and you already have your PIN number, you're an RSA holder. Having done that, the next thing is for money to start coming into your account, which is the contribution. My colleague has spoken on that, about the EPCOS and the NIPS collaboration that ensures that money can enter into the RSA without you having to physically move files around. Then money is already in your account, we start talking of investing it so that it can start generating returns for you. Again, a lot of technology is involved in this, in the monitoring and the investment decision process. Then we come to report and monitoring. For somebody who is an RSA holder, you are still young, you are still in active service, you are not yet retired, you want to find out how your account is going. My colleague mentioned that they have a partnership with their parent company. Aside that, quite a number of PFAs have what we call online portal. That's one that my company has deployed. With your PIN and your personal password, you can log into your internet on your phone, on your iPad, and find out as much information as possible about your account, your performances, how your account is doing. And if you need to actually do some updates, there are some levels of updates that are permitted. Some other levels of update, you can actually initiate the process and it gets to your PFA and they can call you to actually consummate that. And we've got mobile applications with your Android phones, your Apple phones. You can actually log into your account and monitor what's going on in your account. And then we'll come to when you finally retire, which is the benefits. The benefits process, I must commend the National Pension Commission, has been so streamlined that like we knew how pension was in this country. You retire for a year, 2 years, 3 years, you are chasing your pension. Now we have a situation whereby somebody retires in January. January is the last month you collect salary. By February, you are collecting pension, and there is hardly any gap. Again, what has brought this about? A lot of technology has been deployed, and will continue to deploy. For example, in my organization now, you can actually monitor your benefits application process. Right from the time you submit, a 2 SMS post is generated that notifies you that your application has been received, it's been processed. You can actually know at what stage of processing your application is, whether there's an approval yet, and once you have the approval, we can actually make the payment. Now, in the entirety of this gamut, you will have complaints and customer care. Again, we have deployed call centers, not just alone, quite a number of PMs have probably done that too, and CRM, for you to be able to make your complaints so that your PFA gets them and can be able to attend to them. And the beauty of CRM is that as you are calling, the system is already showing the details of your account. So the customer you're talking to, you are actually be able to, in an informed manner, attend to the customer. And if there are complaints already lodged by that customer prior, that's available for you to be able to leverage upon and see whether it's a follow-up complaint or it's a fresh one and be able to better attend to it. Again, the entirety of all this data, we can't just continue to manage them
without having adequate redundancy and disaster recovery and BCP. Almost all PFAs have got these 2 layers. You have a disaster recovery system where should anything happen to your servers or to your SAN storage systems, you can actually go there to recover your data. And then, in the eventuality, beautiful, we've all had these, but probably we've not yet put them into operation. Of a disaster happening, like the 9/11 or an earthquake, which are not prevalent in these areas, can you actually continue operation at the level you were prior to this disaster? These are some of the things that quite a number of PFAs are put in place. Now, this does not just involve servers, it involves putting processes in place such that should that happen, your staffs, key staffs can actually relocate and ensure that your customers are being serviced. And in all of these, a lot of storages, databases, SAN storages are being deployed by the PFAs in ensuring that these quality services are rendered to our clients. And what we have is that as technology improves, the pension industry continues to leverage your technology to ensure that the quality of service that we render. Okay, thank you very much.
I'm sorry we had to do that, sir. I was really enjoying what you were saying. Pretty much painting a very pretty picture. To the extent of saying we're all fully automated. So we'd like to hear something from the other side if possible. Also, where our challenges are.
Thank you very much. A bit difficult after very well articulated positions that 3 gentlemen have actually put forward. I'll just tag on to what I think you were about to conclude with. And that is that one of the major critical outcomes of applying all this technology within the pension sector is that it actually strengthens confidence in the sector. And if you see where the sector was prior to the enactment of the 2004 Act, to where it is today in terms of contributor mass and the investments, you see there is more belief in the prospect of a vibrant pension sector. And as the industry, if you like, organizes itself to bring in informal, organizes itself to tap into new media like social media, to attract a new generation of people to start saving earlier. This is a very technologically savvy and aware, is it Generation X? That is called. So if we can start bringing them into the fold, as it were, using this innovative technology channels, then the PENCOM sector will be better for it. You did mention challenges, as it were, and I think one of the most obvious ones is ensuring that this accelerated growth occurs in a cohesive manner, so that we don't have to come back in a few years' time to start reorganizing that collaboration framework between the regulator, the regulated, and the beneficiaries of the sector. And I think a lot of work has taken place in PENCOM recently from the strategy side, and a lot of involving work on the technology side to actually address this, if you like, this holistic evolution of the pension sector. So, in a nutshell, I think technology helps to communicate, it helps to consolidate, collaborate, innovate, and do all those nice things that ensures that we can build up the sector. If I can take just one more challenge, which is building on a point that was made, that's in terms of disaster. Because the biggest assets, I think somebody spoke about digital sovereignty earlier on, about countries now being measured by
the digital assets they have. Under the Act, PENCOM has responsibility for maintaining a database on all pension issues. And it's, from what I know, it's something they take very, very seriously. So all those storage and disaster recovery environments, including the real-time one we were alluding to, exist on the regulator side and is actually even being strengthened and deepened. So the issue now becomes how to ensure that what the leader is doing is cascading through the industry so that the industry actually develops in a very cohesive manner. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think the city here has been very engaged. The lead presenter actually opened a very wide discussion framework. And I'm really so glad that it could be coming from the regulator themselves, because clearly they're leading in this game. And we want to thank you for that level of confidence that you're building in this ecosystem. I hear that we struggle with coverage because still there's a huge informal sector out there that needs to be brought in into this scheme. And of course, the issues of where to find the right information, how to reach them. I had issues of compliance. Gladly, when the regulator is leading, compliance becomes a little bit easier because it's no more a push affair. I mean, it's a pull thing. You already can see what's going on in the industry. And I hope that leadership will continue, at least as we use more and more technology. I hear about issues of collaboration. I still think there's a lot to do in that space. But there's no better ecosystem than the pension one to demonstrate how collaboration can do a great deal of shared services, the use of the technology that they arise from standards, the use of the cloud computing, and so on and so forth. So we have a wonderful opportunity because we are just like the babies of this system, the financial system. We're able to lead the way. I hear about issues of confidence, and that's why pensioners like me need to be convinced. Okay? We need to build the confidence that will allow these other things to happen, become ready, and so on and so forth. And I'm glad to hear that we're building indisparately customer relationship programs to deal with that. That's an area where I think we can collaboratively build a common experience environment for our customers so that we can deal with other issues. And of course, consolidation. Data is a big challenge for all of us. And I believe that in the pension space, because we are looking forward to you bringing about the difference we want in the financial system to address everything. You will be all of that. Let me just read that plaque. Which says thank you very much. Thank you for enjoying us. We hope you will have a very good lunch after this.
You can take a few. My name is Kurmi Usman. My question is just a practical experience that we have with one of the pension administrators. My friend died sometime last year. We presented all papers as regards his own death. From the discussion we had, like all these pension something and the electronic program and whatever. But after going to that extent, they requested for a pay slip of 2007 for some month, 2008 for the other month. Unfortunately, this organization he worked, the system crashed down. Now to get those pay slips for those months is not feasible. For his defendants access those funds now is a problem for us. That's my question.
I can say limited. My question is in the area of enforcement. In instances where
you've worked in an organization for a number of years and your employer don't get to remit your pension. And eventually, down the line, you left that same organization. Now, is there any enforcement that forces the employer to remit your payment as and when due? And if there is an enforcement, what is PENCOM doing to ensure that these payments are remitted as and when due? Now, from the standpoint of payment solution, because I work with PAGA, now, in communities where PFEs don't exist, there are companies, there are schools that have employees that would like to pay pensions. What is the innovation, or what is the linkage? What is PENCOM trying to do in terms of collaborations with payment solution companies to establish agencies in these communities? Because if I have an agent in a community where there are no PFEs, there are no banks, where remittance can be effected, can an employer walk up to any agent, any of these mobile payment solution agents, and make payment, through these platforms? Those are my questions. Thank you.
Okay, this only happens for federal government employees. I believe your relative guide must be waiting for federal government or one of these agencies. That we need to have this case so that we look at the history, at least from 2004, up to the time he died. In order to work out the contributions, what we have seen often is that when people either retire or they die, and they work for the federal government, because of the issue of the accrued benefits that we have to recompute at the point of exit, either through death or through retirement. So we need to have these evidences. That's why perhaps the family will be asked to provide these cases. Because one thing can happen. Either we underpay him or we overpay him. But it's only when we have the documentation that we'll be able to pay exactly what was due to the deceased. So I think really you notice, as I mentioned, it's only those who work for the federal government that go through this process. And this is because, as Mr. Lady was mentioning earlier,